Good afternoon, everyone. I'm attorney Marwan Porter, and I'm here with members of my legal team who is representing the interests of LaKen Woods. I'm here with Broderick, here with Mr. Harry Daniels out of Georgia, and obviously we're here with LaKen's family. We're here to provide a brief update in terms of what we know and the status of LaKen. Members of my legal team have went to see him. He's still in excruciating pain. I believe he has a ruptured kidney, migraine headaches, and he's hurting really bad. And you know, as I said yesterday, you know, practice what you preach. If you preach transparency, practice transparency, not partial transparency, full transparency. Anything less than that only raises more questions. And we do have more questions. And I think since that, there has been additional body cam footage that has been released. And you've all seen it. Several knees to the head, elbows to the head, punches to the face. Basically, it's like a UFC ground and pound beatdown. Yeah. That's what it is. A UFC ground and pound beatdown by trained professionals, allegedly, and maybe that's why we're here. We need to call into question, because what the sheriff said was their conduct was in line with JSO policies and procedures. So if that's true, getting a UFC beatdown for refusing to put your hand behind your back is consistent with JSO policies and procedures. Right. And that's problematic. That's problematic. And so we are here to hold everyone accountable, and we are listening to every word you say. And when it's time to call bullshit, I'm gonna call bullshit. All right. Because you're not gonna sell me chicken shit and tell me it's chicken salad. Okay? You saw what happened. It is unacceptable. And fortunately, he's okay at this point in time. He's doing a little bit better. But those knees to the face, they try to kick in his skull. Okay? And it's problematic, and we cannot tolerate that. And we will not tolerate that. Not in our community. And we need to say what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And again, when you start bringing up the past to try to justify what you did in the present, it raises more red flags. One has nothing to do with the other. Okay? When part of the statement, you say that the gun that you found belonged to another individual who admitted that that was his firearm, but you place a gun charge on LaKen. How does that make sense? Okay, you see from the body cam that the drugs that were found were in the back seat, under the seat. And you say LaKen was in the front passenger seat. Exactly. And you place judge charges on him. Exactly. Okay, a lot of it doesn't make sense. And you're on paper stating it, and you've stated it in your reports. So we don't want this situation to be a whitewash situation where you are trying now to place charges on LaKen to justify the conduct of your officers. It's unacceptable. You're talking about a young man's life. All right. So, you know, with that said, I'm going to introduce Mr. Daniels, and he has a couple words for you as well.
All right. Harry Daniels, National Civil Rights Lawyer. I'm no stranger to Duval County down here, no stranger to the Jacksonville Sheriff Office. Misconduct. I've been out here several times dealing with this sheriff office, specifically with some of these officers in this gang unit. They got a modus operandi. They stop people for pretextual reasons to do what? To assault, terrorize, and tear this community apart. We've been at these steps several times on multiple cases with the same exact officers. You know, so I knew him he was Captain Waters, Sheriff Waters, to his interview yesterday, Marwan, and he talked about his sheriff office violated no policy. Well, did you see how they cut the video off when they slammed him in the, LaKen in the ground? You see, That's clearly a violation of policy. You see, when a person falls face forward from being tased, one would think that he probably got some type of dazed, disoriented confusion, Broderick. And when you asked for his hand, did y'all see where he showed his hand to him? You asked me, let me see your hand. But that wasn't enough for them. They saw his waist. They saw he was unarmed, but they continued to beat him over and over again. Let me be very clear. Beating near a person in the head is not this use of force, it's deadly force. That's been opined by experts across the nation. Now, I didn't see anything on that video, Marwan or Ms. McClain. I didn't see anything on that video that warranted any type of force, let alone deadly force. LaKen probably weighed 160 pounds, soaking wet. Those officers well over 200 pounds. The culture here in Jacksonville, Duval County, is a culture and atmosphere that's not just based on these officers on the street. It's always to the top. We don't have a bad apple. We have a bad apple orchard. When the sheriff basically, in his own words, validate, ratify, and confirm these actions of these officers who are back on the street today, there's nobody in Duval County safe. Y'all know me. Y'all reporters know me. We do cases up in Camden County with police misconduct, beatings. We're no stranger here to Duval County and Jacksonville, especially this officer, Jose Garriga, the one who kneed him 6 times. Y'all recall he was the same one that shot and killed Jamie Johnson back in 2019. And you know what he stopped him for? A damn seatbelt. That's their mode. That's how they operate. Look, I'm gonna let his mom come up. We're gonna come back and tell you our next step, legal steps. We're gonna open up a Q&A. You wanna come and speak? You got something to say? You don't have to, you want to. She don't want to speak at this time. You want to talk about his condition? All right, he's going to talk about his condition inside the jail at this time.
So I got an opportunity to see LaKen a short while ago. He's in Duval. He's still able to walk, but he's not doing well. He is dizzy when he walks. He still has headaches from the beatdown, and he has a ruptured kidney. Because of that, he's not able to take any liquids. Anything that he tries to eat, he throws back up. Today was the first time in a while he tried to eat some solid foods, the jail macaroni. He said he threw it up. He said when he went down to medical, he threw up about 6 times down there. In terms of treatment, all he's getting is ibuprofen and Vaseline for his wounds. He still can't see properly. His face is still completely purple. His eyes are swollen shut. He can see that I'm there, that there's a body there, but I don't think he knows what I look like. And that's how he is right now. He's not doing well in there.
Sir, could we get your name?
Broderick Taylor.
And how are you affiliated with this, sir?
I'm one of the attorneys.
All right, we're going to open up the Q&A. No questions about the criminal. We obviously got a criminal matter pending, so we won't be answering any questions about that particular matter. But the next steps for the legal team, we'll answer those questions.
Sir, Sheriff Waters has said that the social media video released this weekend was put out by what he referred to as an anti-police fringe, and that's kind of how he tried to frame this. Can you respond to that, sir?
He said it's an anti-police fringe.
Who put out the video, and he says they manipulated the video to make it to kind of outrage the
Well, I don't know anything about a manipulated video. The video we put out ran from the start to the end. So there was no manipulation on our end. We put out a 6-minute long video. If you're talking about a video that referred possibly somebody being kicked, we can't control what people do on social media. That's not our control. But for this legal team, this family, the video we put out was a video from a bystander who recorded and saw the whole incident. And what we saw in that video, we saw LaKen getting beaten, slammed to the ground in handcuffs. You see, if you look at step by step, if you say that the taser was justified, then you go on to the next step. What about the punches in the face? What about the knee in the head? You got to look at step by step. And the video we put out obviously showed unlawful force. So to Sheriff Waters, talk about that video instead of the video that somebody else put out. Tell him to talk. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Tell him to release that portion of the video when they slammed him to the ground and have that conversation.
And Mr. Dan, he brings up a great point. Okay, we don't want any type of manipulation of a video to yield a false impression. We don't want that. We want the truth. But you know what also is manipulation? When you don't pull out a full video. When you stop the video before he's being body slammed.
Right.
That's the same type of manipulation that you accuse the individuals on social media of doing. You're putting out information that is incomplete to yield a false impression. All we're asking for is complete transparency. And we can allow the community to come to their own decision.
Next question.
One of the things we've been receiving from the community, one of the biggest questions we've been receiving, why did he run?
Well, look, can I answer that one if you don't mind?
I kind of want to put the muzzle on because we're about to give up all of our defense strategies. But he's gonna.
Let me say this. If police have no reason suspicion of probable cause, the Supreme Court of the United States say you can walk away, and if you can walk away, you can run away. If they were stopping them for a seatbelt infraction violation for the driver, then the passenger has nothing to do with that. So he can run if he wants to.
This is when your excuses don't excuse and your explanations don't explain. They put in the police report that they were pulled over for a seatbelt infraction. The passenger can do whatever he wants to do. He can do whatever he wants. So this is when you start asking
hold on one second. Let me say this as well. Hold on.
In Jacksonville, Florida, by JSO.
Let me say this. Let me say this. If they were getting pulled over for a seatbelt violation, think about this, people. Why in the hell is police officers getting out with guns drawn?
Right.
I've been stopped for a seatbelt violation,
Sir,
and it wasn't.
a seatbelt violation. He said it was an ongoing.
Did you read the report, sir?
I did read the report.
And you
sir.
see
They
the.
said they followed. They watched them at a gas station. They had suspicion of a drug deal. And then they followed him.
Hold on, wait. He's answering questions. Let him ask a question. What did he see at the gas station?
They said they saw people talking, and you can argue whether or not it was a drug deal or not.
No, we asked them,
what did they say?
See in the police
And I know,
report?
and we're not picking on you.
Yeah,
What did they see?
What did they
They
see?
say they saw a group of people, and in their description of it, they thought it was a drug.
Stop. Go ahead. I got you. I got you. Yeah, he's answering a great question. Let's go.
We're glad he asked the question.
And they followed, and they say they used the seatbelt as their reason to pull over to intervene.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That's the point.
And thank you for that question. I understand. That question, they didn't see anything. What they saw is 4 black men at a gas. We ain't gonna take the race card out of it, because to my understanding, one of the officers called you the N-word after the fact. The daddy right here. So they did not see a crime being committed at all. They're giving us suspicions to pull over this vehicle. The reason why they got into this car, because they talked about a seatbelt. Once again, you don't bring out guns on a seatbelt violation. We don't know anything else. We got the same information you received. Next question.
Yeah.
We talked about this yesterday. In the report, they said after he fell and he was tased, that they pulled him up and he was bleeding. Do you believe that his injuries could have resulted from anything other than the beating?
Go ahead.
So I mean, again, we want all of you to have a critical eye, have a critical mind, ask the questions. You ask a great question, but don't just accept things. Okay? They did not see any type of transferring of drugs when they initially were doing their surveillance. They said they saw some people communicating. That's not a crime.
Count money.
Counting money, that's not a crime. Okay, and then they pursue them and they said, oh, well, one doesn't have a seatbelt on. Okay, well, if that's the reason that you're using to pull these individuals over, then the passenger can get out the car and leave.
And that's what we call it. That's what we call a pretextual reason for that seatbelt.
And so, but what you're seeing now is, okay, let's create something that doesn't necessarily exist as the facts show. We're trying to create a situation. And so, to answer your question, no. He doesn't, LeKen doesn't end up looking like a Halloween mask of Emmett Till from one fall on the ground.
Yeah, and you can see from the fall, the initial fall, what was his injuries at the time versus after the fact. So if you just stop, So if you didn't start the video, you can see that. So that's a good question, though.
So, sir, the chin, the bloody chin that we see in the video, that could be the fall from the taser. What do you account the other injuries, the scrapes, the bruises, the swelling from?
I think hold on, guys. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I think that you can, without a doubt in our mind, that we'll count the swollen eyes, the ruptured kidney, to the beating that he took by JSO Police Department. He was struck almost 6 times. And one of the officers, Garriga, says in his report, you read the report, right, that he accidentally might have hit him in the head. But look at the video when he's grabbing his head and kneeing him like a UFC fighter. That's not an accident, that's intentional. And our experts have already determined that is an intentional act. Go ahead. I should have asked y'all to identify yourself, but go ahead.
You mentioned the ruptured kidney. That's a big thing. So did the hospital agree that he has a ruptured kidney? Did they clear him to be released from the hospital to jail?
We're not going to release anything about his actual medical records itself, but what we've been told, incredible source, that he suffered a ruptured kidney. So, any other questions?
You described Jacksonville Sheriff's Office as, I think, something along the lines of an orchard of bad apples.
Culture of bad apples.
So,
orchard.
If you can't appeal to the supervisor, who is Sheriff Waters, who do you appeal to?
The Department of Justice. We already got a petition in line to Washington, D.C., Department of Justice. Because this is, when you obviously see the Jacksonville Sheriff Office investigate themselves with the deal they got with the state's attorney's office over here, that because you would think in this case that the Florida Division of Law Enforcement come in to investigate. See, in Georgia, the GBI would have came in and did the investigation. But JSO investigate themselves. And the last time I checked, if you investigate your own house, you gonna find any wrongdoing?
Absolutely.
So this is a culture from the top. So we need to come in, Department of Justice need to come in, and not just investigate this matter, but other matters that's happening in this city. It's been multiple times. They just started releasing body cams footage 2 years ago, a year ago. And obviously in this case, with the release of a amateur video cell phone, they had no choice but release it. And they still have not released the whole video. But to answer your question, absolutely, Department of Justice. And we will send y'all a copy of that petition.
You've already filed that petition?
It's not a file, it's a matter of letter, and we'll send it over to you guys. Any other questions?
Hopefully you can sign it.
Any other questions? Going once?
One of the things the sheriff mentioned yesterday in his press conference was that there may have been some connection to gangs. I wanted to present that question to you.
What's your name? Let me tell you something. And my brother right here said it. I couldn't say it no better. When the police start talking about the person past, you need to be concerned about their present. So gang affiliation, past charges, has nothing to do with that deadly force they used on that day.
Right.
Has nothing to do with it. Regardless if you broke the law in the past, you can't break the law and arresting a person and bringing them into custody. That's exactly what they did. Go ahead.
So yesterday, the sheriff was saying that
I didn't see the sheriff interview, by the way. I didn't see it at all. So thank y'all for letting me know.
he said that your client faces a probation violation charge in Leon County. Are you representing him on that petition?
No, we don't represent him on that probation charge that stems from these charges. We have full confidence these charges, based on the evidence we've seen, he should be exonerated on it. Obviously, his criminal defense attorneys will deal with that matter. But like I said, that probation has nothing to do with what they did with him on September 29th.
Sir, could you clarify the difference in your perspective between excessive force versus a normal use of force in a situation?
So you got a force continuum, and let's turn to law enforcement. I used to work in law enforcement myself. So when you have an incident where force is warranted, the force can end up being hands-on, or it can be deadly force, but it has to be justified. In this situation, you have LaKen on the ground in a prone position, who's obviously hit his face on the concrete already and dazed. There was no threat of deadly force there. The argument, they're saying that, oh, he can see his hands, the waist. But you can see in the video, he's flipped over multiple times. But then you see in the video, he's struck in the head multiple times, kneed by Officer Garriga. That's deadly force. So deadly force is not warranted when you're just trying to put handcuffs on somebody. Deadly force is warranted when the person that's trying to use deadly force against you. And clearly from the video, that didn't happen. So that's what I mean by excessive. And I would go a step further. I'll say the force is unlawful. unlawful use of force. And the reason why we petitioned the Department of Justice, not just an investigation as to this incident, but to the sheriff office and other cases. And the Department of Justice come in and they find wrongdoing, that's when FBI come in and arrest the police for misconduct. That's what we're pushing for. Make no mistake about it. Mom and Dad, you want them in jail, right?
Right.
Want them in jail.
All in jail.
Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Oh, y'all didn't answer. No, man, y'all didn't answer. I ain't gonna tell it.
You're able to send the letter out. You're going to email that out, or how?
Oh, we get out. We get out to you. It's been drafted. We get out to you. All right. Thank you. We'll obviously we'll keep y'all updated what's going on in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.